Emmanuel, good morning. Emmanuel, good morning.
அது ரெண்டும் பீடிக் தானே.
Good afternoon to you all from Malaysia. Hope you can hear me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good
Assalamu
afternoon.
alaikum.
Yes, walaikum salam. Hope you are doing fine.
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah, we are fine.
Okay, great. Hello, Mr. Gerald. Nice to see you. You have to unmute. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, Rumbidzai Katande from Zimbabwe.
Okay, seeing your challenges over there.
Yes, we have some power outages, but we'll manage to sail through.
Okay, okay. That's good.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Very good
Dr.
afternoon.
Diana Thompson.
Yes, how are you, Thompson?
Good morning, Prof.
Yes,
Well,
good morning. Good morning, Amuzat. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Quite good.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Very good afternoon, Mr. Mujib. How are you?
Fine. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, great. How is Afghanistan at the moment?
That's okay. So it's fine now. Better.
I see. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Hi, Prof. Chief.
Yes, Prof.
Just
How are you,
joined for a
Prof?
while.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, just joined for a while. Okay.
Yeah, sure,
To
sure,
see
Prof.
your speech, and after Prof. Tulo, then I will take my rest. Okay.
Sure, Prof.
I'll be
Yeah.
there tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. You take
Thank
rest,
you.
Prof. Yeah, thank you, Prof.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Manuel. How are you? We'll start about another 10 to 15 minutes time maximum. Good afternoon, David. How are you?
Hi, Professor. Doing great. Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Okay, great, great. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Hello, Mercy. Hope you are doing good. Hello, Mr. Tay. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome, Prof. We'll be just starting around it's 2:28, maybe another few more moments.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Yeah, by 2:35 we'll start.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, then. Thank you. The conference is also on live in the YouTube.
Okay, great.
We already started live on the YouTube. So
Good morning, everyone. Professor Asif, Professor Solo.
yes.
Good morning.
Really
Good
nice to
morning,
see you all here.
After a long time, Mohammed,
A
how are
long
you?
time, Professor. I'm fine.
Who is that who's speaking to me so nicely?
It is Mohammed Al-Awaisi.
I'm
Sorry?
Muhammad Al Awaisi, Professor, your student from Binary.
Yes, yes. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How about you? I'm really glad to
I'm
see you, Professor.
busy. But other than that, I'm fine.
Thank you. All of us, what to do? This is like,
Yes, survival, right?
yeah, exactly. I'm willing to visit you there, inshallah.
Yeah, please
Depends,
come.
inshallah,
Yeah,
depends on my graduation. I'm waiting for the graduation, inshallah, and to present
yes,
my thesis very soon.
keep yourself free on December 17th.
Inshallah.
Okay, December 17th is the date where we'll be having a very grand convocation with all our students coming in live. Okay, please keep that date free.
Good, sure.
And it's even open to those who have already graduated.
Inshallah. Uh, I'm just waiting for the thesis presentation. Inshallah, will be very soon with Professor Asif.
Yes, great.
And inshallah, for sure, will be there and keep myself free in December as you guided, inshallah.
Yes, please do.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you very much.
Prof. Wu also have joined despite of his severe illness today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Prof. Sulo, how are you?
Yes, Dr. Uyuhak, how are you? I'm very well.
You look better than before.
Oh, every time you see me, I look better. So I should keep a great, what do you call it, gap from the time I see you.
But I wouldn't compliment you. You have put on some weight.
I have? Okay. I thought I haven't, but I've been on holidays, that's why.
No wonder. You look more robust from the face.
Yeah, the face, okay.
I am actually recovering from flu the last 3 days. Caught it in the rain.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Right. There's a problem when you have two workspaces
Yeah.
close to each other, I hear.
I will join for a short while. After that, I'm going to take a rest. After listening to your opening speech.
So I'm very honored that you're staying to listen to me.
Of course, I do. Our friendship goes back how many decades?
Don't tell anybody, it's embarrassing. People will know. People will have a guess on how old we are.
I have stopped thinking about my age beyond
No,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. Why think about age when there are other things that are more important? Huh?
Yes. We are having our convocation too, you know.
Just using my handphone because I thought by the time I set up a laptop, it's going to take too long.
Oh, and you are outside or what?
No, I'm in the office, but you can see I don't know what the background of this. My video is, I can't even see.
Oh, I see. You're in the office. Yeah. I went there once, but you were not around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Prof was in India at that time.
Oh, that's the time when I went for my pilgrimage and things like that.
True.
I see. I'll catch up with you one day, lah. You know.
Okay, no worries, anytime.
Yeah.
We'll just start in another 2 minutes time.
Yeah, sure, Asif.
Yes.
No worries. And you please indicate to me when it's time for me to stop, huh? Because otherwise I'll go on for an hour.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fermin Castillo. Thank you for joining in.
Oh, Dr. Castillo is also here. Hi, Dr.
Yes, yes.
Castillo. It's been a very long time since I've heard from you.
He's here, ma'am.
Great.
Hello, Mohammed Chama. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Professor
I'm
Dr.
here,
Asif.
ma'am. I'm listening, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, I'm good to you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Well, if Mr. Tay is listening in, thank you very much for the WhatsApp. And it's good to hear from you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you all.
Yes, Mr.
Good to
Tay.
see you.
See you.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for the WhatsApp, Tay.
No problem. Keep in touch.
Yeah.
Oh, what you see behind me is a picture of
Yeah.
our Binary International University in Uzbekistan.
Oh, no wonder I was
It's a
trying
very
to figure
grand
out.
building, and I use that very often. Only now I can see my face. So I said,
I see. To imagine that you are still over there virtually.
use that very often as my backdrop because it's a very beautiful building.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah,
story, but a
actually-
very grand building. I think it's one of the grandest buildings in Urgench.
Yeah. And actually very good background for you.
Yes,
At least you got a support behind you.
I got strong support behind me like a fortress.
Mm.
Okay, ma'am, I think we can start already.
Yeah, we can start. As I said,
Okay.
get the ball rolling.
Okay, thank you. Okay, dear participants, keynote speaker, and respected attendees, our special key addresses today. Good afternoon from Malaysia. Good morning and good evening from where you have joined with us today. Myself, Professor Dr. Asif Mahabub Karim, the convener of this international conference on work from home hybrid models for remote work practices in the post-pandemic era. Prospects and challenges welcomes you, where 13 paper presenters, a keynote, and 3 special addresses will be seen in 2 days Researchers Carnival, who will be presenting their research work in either social and psychology, finance, human resource, and the legal track in this particular conference. The participants are from Bangladesh, China, Namibia, Nigeria, Thailand, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Sultanate of Oman, and Malaysia. These are our paper presenters. And of course, we are going on live on YouTube, and many of the viewers are there as well. Binary University was established in 1984 and is a 5-star rated university in Malaysia. Besides producing talented graduates through quality education, Binary University organizes international conferences on a regular basis. The second international conference on work from home 2022 is organized by the Center of Advancement of Management, CAM, as we say in our campus. Much of the business world is uncharted territory in 2021 and beyond. Many employers want their workforce back in the office, but many employees wish to still work from home. This puts the post-COVID future front and center on the minds of companies. The resulting vision for many employers is a model that combines office time with remote working. The vision brings in new hybrid work model. The model allows employees to work from home part of the time and come into the office between 1 to 4 days a week. Employees and employers who took the remote work and compensation Pulse survey in May 2021, 48% expressed a desire to be fully remote, where 44% of the employees favored in the hybrid working arrangements. Among employers, 51% supported the hybrid work model, while only 5% mentioned full remote working as a possibility. I'm just going through some of the statistics on our theme of today. The recent Accenture's report 2022 found that using productivity anywhere hybrid workforce models are embraced by 63% of high revenue growth companies. 69% of the companies with negative or no growth reject the concept of hybrid workforce and prefer all on-site or all remote employees. Workers prefer a hybrid model of 83% at the same time. More than 74% of the Generation Z responded that preferring interacting with colleagues face-to-face, followed by baby boomers 68% and the Generation Xers with 66% as well. A recent remote work survey by salary.com also found the following, whereby 92% of the employers do not have a system in place for determining a compensation for employees who work remotely only part of the time. For 72% of the employers, there is no formal method for determining compensation for remote workers. Over 97% of the employers report they won't reduce pay for partially remote employees. However, 21% of the employers would adjust their salaries with respect to an employee's contribution, geographical location. During the pandemic, 9% of the employees relocated to another location, making a return to the office full-time impossible. Lastly, in a survey of 94% of the employees, they believe their salaries should be determined by skill set and not where they are located. So, 33% of the workers in the Prudential Financial INC survey of this year have suggested that they should be reimbursed for expenses related to remote working. So the Remote Work and Compensation Pulse survey say 51% of the employers, however, that does not mean that it does not come with its fair share of challenges. With no further delay, dear participants, let us start our international conference, first with a corporate video on Binary University.
Binary University was established in 1984. It's the oldest business school in Malaysia. The university actually is focused in management, IT and entrepreneurship education.
At Binary University, we believe in producing wholesome students. This means that we focus not only on the academic performance of students and academic activities, but also on non-academic activities.
Classes are very interactive, they're very related to what's going on in business and in industry. Students are able to interact with each other, get to know each other. Very often we put them into small groups, small clusters. Maybe if you've got a classroom of 20 students, you may have 4 groups of 5 students, so you may have 4 different case studies. all being analyzed and discussed.
Our university is good for two reasons. One is, of course, the academic part of the degrees that we provide is recognized internationally, and we are a specialized university. We produce graduates who are industry specialist professional graduates or ISP graduates. The industry specialization gives graduates a competitive advantage to work anywhere around the world in the industries they have chosen to specialize. And this is the reason why that Binary enjoys the highest graduate employability among all universities in Malaysia. We have 96% graduate employability compared to the national average of 75%.
Through this, I met many business people and entrepreneurs who shared their knowledge with me, and I learned many aspects of entrepreneurship from them.
The Asia Center of Entrepreneurship in Binary University has exposed me and my friends to the relevant people in the various industries who have shared with us their experiences, their successes, their failures and fears along their journey on entrepreneurship.
Fine. Thank you very much. That's what our tagline says. So now we move on to our keynote speech, our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Binary University. Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair is a Vice Chancellor and CEO of Binary University of Management and Entrepreneurship. Prior to her current appointment, she was attached to the Faculty of Economics and Administration, FEA, of University of Malaya in various capacities. She was Associate Professor, Head of the Department of Development Studies, and Founding Director of the Center for Poverty and Development Studies, CPDS. In 2010, she was appointed Expert Consultant to CPDS and Advisor to FEA. With a specialization in development studies, Dr. Nair works on poverty, labor, gender, and rural development. In addition to providing policy inputs to the government, Dr. Nair is also involved in teaching, consultancy, training, and capacity building programs for Central Asia and Cambodia. Her research focus has been on poverty, income distribution, labor, gender, and entrepreneurship. In September 2021, Dr. Nair was appointed as the convener of GBG Academic Group for Engendering the National Budget Initiative. She's on the Board of Trustees of the Sejahtera Foundation and Poverty-Focused NGO and the Gandhi Memorial Trust. On 5th March 2019, the Ministry of Higher Education, Higher and Secondary Specialized Education of the Republic of Uzbekistan and the Tashkent Institute of Finance conferred upon Professor Sulochana the title of Honorable Professor in recognition of outstanding contribution to international education. With no further delay, I would like to request Professor Dr. Sulochana Nair to deliver her keynote speech in this international conference. Over to you, Prof. The floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asif. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're in. Today's conference is on work from home, hybrid models for remote work practices in the post-pandemic era, and what are the prospects and challenges. So I'd like to begin by looking back a little bit at what COVID-19 has done to work. It had a significant and long-lasting impact on businesses and workers around the world. And there have been some major shifts in work trends from remote working and flexible hours to how to monitor and manage productivity and performance. And most businesses found that their teams were just as productive, if not more so, when working from home. Many businesses now in the post-pandemic era are considering whether they should be downsizing their offices or giving them up completely, given that their employees are working well at home. And this makes sense, especially when you consider the financial savings that businesses can make. So the point that I want to make is that remote work won't be going anywhere anytime soon. So that's my first point. And the post-COVID businesses will have to reassess their work from home policies, and workers are likely to stay working remotely part-time at least. Working from home provides a lot of more flexibility for staff, cutting out any commuting time and allowing them to maintain a better work-life balance. And a lot of people, and this is something that was alluded to by Prof. Asif, they don't want to return to their office in a full-time mode now that they've adapted to working from home. People don't want to come back to work. And one of the reasons for this is even before the COVID, the workplace has already changed. With the presence of Gen Z, who are a restless generation, they don't want to be at home in a rigid 9-to-5 work environment. So workplaces have already become more flexible, even prior to the COVID. But with COVID, there was no choice. Everybody had to work from home. And now that you're asking people to come back to work into the office, there's a lot of resistance to that. And a lot of people feel that they don't want to come back full time. So what is the work arrangement that works best for your business? The key word in determining the best possible working arrangement for a team is flexibility. And now we have a variety of work models available to team members. And most team members understand how to work in each type of environment. And they are also likely to understand their personal comfort and productivity in these different types of workspaces. Leaders may discuss work arrangement options with team members based on their performance and job function. Leaders of organizations have to listen very carefully to what each team member has to say. Remind them that they're always welcome to change their mind if they find a certain work arrangement doesn't work for them anymore. For example, if an employee returns to office full-time and struggles to focus and concentrates on the task at hand, it may be wise to suggest that they hop on to a hybrid arrangement for an easier transition. The other key word is transition. However, each business has to decide to go back to work. There may be initial growing pains for team members. Gradually, over time, each person will get back to their rhythm and receive the flexibility that allows them to do their best work for the business. Okay, remote working isn't without downsides. Employee well-being might suffer, and some roles of working from home limits what they can actually do if they're not completely computer-based, while others might find distractions at home are more of an issue than in the office. They're also juggling the childcare commitments, and this is mainly for the women, or they don't have a proper space for an office setup. Not everybody has got the luxury of setting up a home office. So this is something that needs some kind of attention and consideration. There should be more flexibility for remote working, but provisions need to be in place for employees who can't or don't want to work permanently from home. This is where the hybrid models come to play, offering the best of both remote and in-office work. This post-pandemic workplace trend seems to be a decent compromise for the moment. When it comes to where we work, there will continue to be three main models: centralized workplaces, decentralized remote organizations, and the hybrid best of both worlds approach. Workers will have the choice rather than be forced to align with whatever model the organization has chosen out of necessity. And also, organizations, as I said earlier, are undergoing a change in relationships with the idea of a centralized workplace. And a study at the height of the pandemic in 2020, 69% of the companies expected an overall decrease in the amount of office space they would be using, according to a research by KPMG. I would not delve into too much of statistics, which Asif has already done. Hybrid structures would range from companies maintaining permanent centralized office with hot desking to accommodate the fact that staff will more frequently work remotely, to doing away with offices entirely and relying on co-working spaces and service meeting rooms to support the needs of a primarily remote workforce. Okay, I will not go into that. What are the things that we learned about remote working during the pandemic, which is relevant whether you talk about completely work from home or a hybrid model? One is that video collaboration goes a long way. And the demand for video conferencing dramatically surged when everybody started working remotely. And with social distancing and remote and stay-at-home orders, video conferencing helped employees stay connected with their colleagues and customers while adding a personalized touch to the conversation. And teams could safely meet face-to-face without worrying about spreading COVID-19 to one another. So that's one of those things, video collaboration. The remote work saves money for employers and employees. Okay, that's self-explanatory. A better work-life balance for remote workers. That 91% of remote workers chose to work from home to have a better work-life balance. There is a big difference between choosing to work remotely and being forced to work from home because of the pandemic. And many employees have experienced some of the positive aspects of remote work, like spending more time with their families, having a flexible work schedule, and increased productivity. It saves money, there's a better work-life balance, and the remote infrastructure does work. And the many organizations at the beginning of the pandemic were not prepared to fully support a fully remote workforce. But over the 2 years that we were stuck at home, things have drastically improved. To transition to the next phase of work, companies will have to beef up current strategies, be flexible, and make their employee safety and well-being top priority. And no one solution will work for every company, but a reintroduction to office life without a well-thought-out plan can be risky and dangerous. Let's just move on to So currently, there are 3 general workspace models available to employees: completely working from home, traditional office, or hybrid arrangement. Okay, we have gone through the work from home. The pros, we have already gone through the pros of working from home, and increased productivity is one of the surprising dimensions of working from home. Reducing the carbon footprint when people don't have to travel, improving mental health. Even though they have to deal with stress of working from home, employees are likely to report good mental health, according to a survey by FlexJobs. And remote work can be a recruitment tool. And the moment you ask people to start coming to the office, people begin to look for other jobs where they can work from home. Today, Asif and I conducted an interview, and it was, I do not know where along the way, the 3 candidates that we interviewed thought that the interview was for an online platform. Never in the advertisement did we say it was online, but they just assumed it was online, and they were very eager and gung-ho about coming. And when we told them that it was not online but face-to-face, there was a little reluctance. In addition, companies have a wider talent pool to draw upon because you cut costs in so many ways. You have a wider talent pool if you work from home. And of course, we know that the downside of working from home, okay, distraction, decreased work-life balance, more challenging training and culture maintenance. This is something that cannot be done remotely. If you want to inculcate organizational culture into employees, it's a bit tough to do it online. Okay, let's go on very little quickly, and I'll round up with this. What is a hybrid work model? A hybrid work model is made up of both remote and in-office workers and gives employees the ability to choose how, where, and when they perform their job duties. This often includes office spaces designed around flexible working arrangements where employees can come and go from the office based on preferences and as project work dictates. A hybrid work model is a workforce structure that includes employees who work remotely and those who work on site in a company's facility. Remote work employees may choose where they wish to work, such as home office, where on-site employees will work from a central location, such as an office building, warehouse, factory, or retail outlet. While some jobs require employees to be on-site all the time, the nature of many positions like accountants, consultants, marketing professionals allow employees to work in an environment that's best suited to the work that they're doing. Like report writing, etc., can be done very easily remotely from the home. How does it work? A hybrid work model is similar to a remote work model in that employees work from a location outside of the company's facilities. The difference is that under the hybrid work model, employees are expected to be in those facilities at least part of the time. How the details of this arrangement are worked out depends on the organization. There are various types of hybrid work models. Some employees might work exclusively from a remote location, while others work in the facility. Some employees might work remotely for part of the week and on site for the remainder of the week. Some employees may work exclusively from a remote location and go into the office occasionally, and certain days are allocated for in-person collaboration and meetings, and other days are scheduled for remote work. The pros and cons of a hybrid working model. The pros of the hybrid working model is less attrition, fewer or no commutes contributing to the carbon footprint, reduced operating costs, increased productivity, access to an expanded talent pool, collaboration. The cons of a hybrid working model are collaboration and teamwork will be more challenging. Relationship building amongst colleagues will also be a big challenge. And there are also security risks. Cybersecurity breaches is increased when employees work remotely, and inequity between on-site and remote employees. On-site employees may receive more career development opportunities because they're physically closer to decision makers. Remote employees may feel there are fewer chances for career advancement because they're not in daily contact with their managers. And there is, Asif, how much longer do I have? I can't hear you, Asif, you're muted.
Ma'am, roughly around 2 more minutes.
Okay, 2 more minutes. There are various things that you need to consider when you're implementing a hybrid work models. First, you have to identify which jobs can be done remotely, even for part of the time. You have to establish office hours for remote employees so that the colleagues can get a hold of them when required. And you have to create agreements among teams that spell out when the hybrid employee should be working in the company facilities and when they may work remotely. And explain to hybrid employees why it's sometimes necessary to work on site. And you have to design on-site work environment, a combination of quiet areas and workspaces that can accommodate collaboration between on-site and remote employees. You have to ensure equity in meetings and establish meeting-free days of the week or blocks of time to avoid video conferencing burnout. Keep remote meetings as short as possible and identify how interdependent specific teams and team members are to determine when their employees should be working together in person or virtually in real time rather than remotely. And finally, 2 words on the leadership. For an organization to succeed in operating under a hybrid model, its leaders must do the following. 1, equip employees with technology, resources, and training to ease the transition to a hybrid model. Secondly, ensure that on-site and remote employees are treated equally. Create opportunities for hybrid employees to connect with each other and form relationships, and adopt best practices that prevent remote employees from feeling isolated. And hold discussions both on site and remote employees on how everyone can work together under a hybrid model. Help hybrid employees perform well without closely monitoring or supervising them. And provide opportunities for employees to develop their skills and help every employee manage their stress level, whether remotely or on site. Okay, I think I will stop there since I think I've exceeded my 2 minutes. So thank you very much. And I just want to wish everybody a happy and fruitful discussion for the next 2 days. I might come in once in a while, but I've got like a million other things to sort out. Thank you very much and enjoy the conference, everyone.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sulochana Nair. I'm really sorry I have to keep you bound with the time, but it was really very nice of you, Prof, for sharing with us your thoughts. Okay, from Malaysia, we now move on to our special key address. We move on to now Bangladesh. Our next presenter on the key address is Mohammad Musharraf Hussain. Mohammad Musharraf Hussain is the award-winning, internationally renowned HR professional and speaker who is the recipient of numerous national and international awards, including the Lifetime HR Achievement Award 2013 from Bangladesh Society for Human Resources Management, Lifetime Achievement Award 2017 from the World HRD Congress, and Global HR Leader Award 2017 from the Malaysian Institute of Human Resources Management. He earned his Master in Human Resources Major in Leadership and Organization Development from the University of Calgary, Canada. He is also a PhD scholar. Currently, he is the head Human Resource Management at ICDDRB in Bangladesh. Mr. Hussain is the founder and president of the Federation of Bangladesh Human Resource Organization, FBHRO, and the president of the Institute of People's Management, Bangladesh. He is the past president of the Bangladesh Society for Human Resources Management, BSHRM, and the past president of the Asia Pacific Federation of Human Resources Management, APFHRM. He also served as the board member of the World Federation of People's Management Association from 2014 to 2019. Mr. Hussain is one of the editorial advisory board members of the South Asian Journal for Human Resources Management, which is the first journal of this kind by the Griffith University, Australia, and Sage Publication. He also served as the chairman of the Asia Pacific Federation of Human Resources Management, HR Professional Award Committee. He also served as a member of the International Jury Board member for Great HR Leaders Award. Mr. Hussain is also the adjunct professor of human resources in the MBA program of a few leading universities in Bangladesh and beyond for last 20 years. He regularly delivers lectures in different national and international seminars and conferences on human resources. Mr. Hussain has delivered keynote presentations at over 50 national and international conferences and seminars. He regularly participates in talk shows on emerging human resources management and development related issues on different television channels in Bangladesh. With no further delay, dear ladies and gentlemen, academics, professionals, other keynote speakers, special address, we move on to Mohammad Musharraf Hussain to deliver his special address.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asif Mawal Karim, for your very generous and kind introduction about myself. And I was very impressed to see the keynote presentation of Dr. Nair, which actually paved the way for my presentation. Since she has covered most of the things very comprehensively, in my special talk, I would like to touch upon the opportunities and challenges of work from home. So let's see my short presentation, and I have some few slides. Let me put on my slides. Is this visible, Dr. Asif?
Yeah, it is visible. Please.
Oh, so thank you. So my presentation will be limited in opportunities and challenges of work from home, which actually work from home is no choice. You have to do it. So let's see what are the opportunities, and some of the opportunities and challenges already discussed by Dr. Nair in her keynote presentation. So let's see what are the opportunities. First opportunity is less waste of time in traveling. I have no idea about Malaysia or other country, but in Bangladesh, at least for me, since Dr. Asif from Bangladesh, he knows that I spend 4 hours time to coming and going back to home. And many people in Dhaka city are doing this. I have traveled more than 100 countries, and I have found the same situation in most of the countries, including USA, Canada, and UK. So this will be an opportunity for the people who can work from home. And second one is it is more productive, because when I travel a lot, when I come and reach to the office, sometimes I'm very exhausted before even starting my work. So if I work from home, then I'm more productive. So that's there. More happier, because I'm closer to my family. Life is with family. So when I'm at home, I'm more happy than working from office. And particularly, many organizations, you have almost 50% female workforce, and they have a triple role, and their family role, children role, reproductive role, and work role. So for them, it is more convenient and happier. Then virtual meeting. Virtual meeting is an opportunity to connect people from anywhere from the world, and almost no cost to the organization. Particularly in Bangladesh and some of the Asian countries, meeting means a lot of snacks, food, accommodation, and a lot of other things which you don't need. Less expense on the office space, supplies and snacks, etc. Many offices they have reduced their space because they have allowed certain percentage of their employees to work from home. So this happens. I can refer some example. Twitter, they have decided to significantly reduction of their office space because they allowed most of their employees, almost 90% of the employees, from working from home, and that helped them to reduce the expenses from the organization. Hire the best, no matter where from there. You can hire people from anywhere and get the services. If you go to the remote work job site, you will find that a lot of jobs available you can do from sitting at your home. Then more diverse workforce in your organization. You can have men, women, transgender, and people from different nationality and ethnicity. This is possible, particularly for the women in conservative countries. They have some restriction of movement and traveling, so this is helpful. And you can reach the diverse market. More employee loyalty in terms of, because when employee happiness is very important for productivity. So happy worker, happy productivity. So their loyalty matters for the organization. Employee would not feel more vacation and lower sick leave. That is another point, because if somebody is sick, little bit of sick, still they may decide not to come to the office. But if they are working from home, then this is an opportunity they can still work from the home and less requirement of the leave. And less turnover, and employee can work longer period in the organizations. So these are some of the opportunities I see in the organization. But as Dr. Nair mentioned, there are some challenges also. It's not so easy. So let's see what are those challenges for working from home. Number one challenge is the line between personal and professional life. When you are working from home, that means you have to draw a line between your personal and professional. Many people, they're exhausted because they work almost 18 hours and 20 hours. So we have to create some kind of boundary about personal and professional life. I'm still with the family, but I have to also work. So this is some challenge. Managing own schedule and time, this is another way. How I will maintain my schedule. I have my family life, personal life, social life, and work life. So how I will manage if somebody come to visit my house, how I will manage. So these are some of the challenges is there. Reduced supervision and direction. Yes, when people work from home, it is a less interaction from the supervision. So this is possible if the employees are very capable, but when they need frequent supervision and guidance and direction, it might be an issue for the organizations. Distraction because of many issues, children and other family issue can distract the work. So that is another issues. Communication and coordination sometimes may be challenges because working from home is mostly dependent on the online platform. Because of some low connectivity and low connection to Wi-Fi and some defect of the computer, laptop, and internet connections can cause some challenges while working in the work from home situation. Unclear performance metrics. In many organizations, performance management system is not very streamlined. A lot of organizations, I see that they have the ad hoc systems, and mostly the performance goals and the targets are not fixed. Even if it is fixed, it is limited for the sales and marketing people. It is not limited for everyone. So that might be an issue, because if it is the attendance-based management system, then this system is not going to work. This system will only work if you have a result-based and output-based and goal-oriented system, then it will be working. So otherwise, it could be a challenge of monitoring the performance and progress of the employees. Social isolation, it is also an issue. Sometimes when I come to the office, we have a society, there are some societal activities within the organization, but when I continue to work from home, as I'm distracted and I'm isolated from the greater societies, my colleagues, so this can be an issue. For sometimes it is okay, but if it is for long time, long duration, months after months, then it might be an issue. Motivation and long-term vision might be an issue because in office there are a lot of activities, so it might be sometimes very enjoyable, but in the home situation, always in one way of thinking and doing could be an issue. And failing to network is another issue because human beings are social elements and social creations. So we need some networking, and not all networking is possible online. There are some networking within the organization, outside the organization, require interaction. So you cannot do everything sitting at home. And top management trust is essential because I'm working from home. You can always have a doubt whether I'm working or sleeping or eating. So that kind of challenge is there. I'm very devoted. Still, my boss might think differently. This is always a huge issue in some cases. If boss are not supportive and not trustworthy, then it would be difficult. So that's all about my presentation on opportunities and challenges. Let me have 1 or 2 sentences on the conclusion of my presentation. Actually, despite any system will have opportunities and challenges, but I work particularly for last 2 years sitting at home. I particularly seen my productivity was significantly higher. I was very pissed. I was infected 3 times of the COVID, but still I was able to do some work even during my COVID time. So the whole overall, I think the opportunities are more, although we have some challenges. With the challenge, always there might be some challenges, but we can still hit. And I am also believing that not everyone in the organization can work from home. You have to identify really who can be working from home, or it is a regular, or sometimes once in a week or twice in a week. So that needs a lot of management. So with these few words, Dr. Asif Mawal Karim, I conclude my presentation here. If there is any question, comments, I'm available. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mohammed Musharraf Hussain, for allocating your time to us in this conference from your busy schedule. And I'm really sorry to have to keep you within that time framework, but we would love to listen to you more on the issue. Thank you so much, Mohammed Musharraf Hussain, for the wonderful and timely information on the challenges that we have.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I look forward for the next opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay, we now move on for our next special address. And this time we move on from Bangladesh to Thailand. So we have with us now special address from Dr. Kamalaswaran Jayaraja, who is a research, evaluation and assessment specialist of Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization, CMU, in Bangkok since 2022. Dr. Kamal's career in Malaysia's civil service spans over a decade, throughout which he was progressively held various portfolios, including in the Ministry of Education of Malaysia, MOE. His longest service was with the Strategic Planning and International Relations Department, for which he served for over 4 years, where he has closely worked with the UNESCO, Middle East, African, European, and Asian countries, implementing the cooperations through Memorandum of Understandings, coordinating working visits, conducting joint working groups, meeting and bilateral discussions were among his responsibilities throughout his tenure in Ministry of Education, Malaysia. He has also published articles, presented in conferences, and carried out workshops related to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education. Dr. Kamal graduated with a Bachelor of Science Education honors from the University of Malaysia, Sabah, UMS, in 2008, Masters in Science Education from the Sultan Idris Education University, UPSI, in 2012, and completed his PhD in Science Education from University of Malaya, in 2017, which he received in Ryoshi Sasakawa Young Leaders Fellowship Scholarship Award, SYLFF. With no further introduction to Dr. Kamalaswaran Jayaraja, we would like to listen from the person himself. Doctor, the floor is all yours. Thank you. I think you have to unmute, Doctor.
Can you all see the slides?
Yes, we can, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay. A very good afternoon to Professor Asif. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a privilege to be invited by Binary University. I'm very happy to be here. Very good afternoon to all the respected speakers, distinguished guests and participants. I'm Kamal. I'm from CMO headquarters in Bangkok. It's very nice to be here this evening. Thank you so much, Professor Asif, for having me here. Thank you so much for the invitation. Without further ado, please allow me to present some of the impacts of COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that millions of people have already lost their jobs and others rapidly adjusting to working from home as offices are closed. Many other workers were deemed essential and continued to work in hospital, grocery stores, on garbage trucks and warehouses, yet under new protocols to reduce the spread of the novel coronavirus. Okay, one of the effects that we shouldn't forget is the remote work or virtual meetings are likely to continue a bit less intensely than at pandemic peak, which means that working from home and working in remote areas are going to be here. It's not going to go off. Everyone is going to use this as an excuse and work from home or use in remote areas wherever they have online, Zoom or Google Meet or any other source of platform. They're going to use this as a reason and work, which is actually good. Because in the most obvious impact of COVID-19 on the labor force is a dramatic increase in employees working remotely. Some companies, ladies and gentlemen, has already planning to shift to flexible workspaces after positive experiences with remote work. You see, COVID is not entirely all bad. COVID apparently has also given some of the positive impact, which we never thought. So what happens is they will reduce the space in the companies and overall space, and they'll bringing in fewer workers into office each day. So which is actually good. That means some workers can work in the office, the others can work in the house. So it depends on the company itself. That's what's happening now. Many of us do not know because we are already going back to work 8 to 5 every day, but this is what's happening. Remote work may also put a dent. This is something negative about remote work in travel business, because you need flights, you need cars, you need vans to travel around. But what happens is many of these traveling business is starting to use video conferencing during the pandemic, which has assured a new acceptance in the virtual meetings and other aspects of work. So apart from working from home is a reason, what other significant impacts that COVID has brought? But before that, allow me to explain to you about what does actually working from home requires. What do we want from our bosses, from our companies? What do we want from them? We want them to customize our work commitment and working hours. We want them to customize it. We don't want 8 to 5 anymore. We want to be more of European countries where possible of working at our own leisure time, but still it matches about 9 to 10 hours a day. As long as we are working 9 to 10 hours a day, but the duration of the time varies, it doesn't matter. That's what we want. The second thing is we want the trust and the support from our bosses. This is very important, trust. Because some bosses probably will not trust their worker that they are working from home. And I believe that, let's say a staff is working 1 to 9 hours a day and the only thing he does is writing a letter. Whose fault is that? What do you think? It is not the worker's fault, ladies and gentlemen. It's the employee's fault, because he should come with a strategic planning and an operational model to ensure that the worker works at least about 5 to 6 hours in that period of 9 hours. At least do some workshop or do some conference or something like that, that the bosses should already plan. The third thing is that the bosses should enhance the work motivation and employees' well-being. Because some offices, they prefer to work in office. So you can't differentiate, oh, you're working from home, so I take care of you less. Oh, you're working from from office, so I take care of you more because you're coming to office regularly. No. And the most important factor, eventually it will lead to money. Whatever we do, ladies and gentlemen, whatever we do in life, especially to today's world, in this materialistic world, it all ends up to economy, money, transaction, investment, trade. It all comes back to that. So the bosses should guarantee equal pay For those who are working from home, for those who are working in remote areas, I mean, like in Starbucks or in a KFC or in a KLI, wherever we can have access for online or internet. So in office, there is 3 different categories here. So the bosses should give equal pay, but this doesn't take place because in Asian countries, most of the bosses does not trust the staff, does not trust the worker. So when this happens, so the possibility of increasing stress is extremely high because some staff are really happy to work from home and the production level is much higher as compared to a worker who's working in office. So when that happens, this person who's working at home feels the stress. But on the others, there's always 2 sides to a coin. On the other hand, not everyone is privileged to have an office room in the house. Most of us are probably staying in an apartment, cramped up, just 1 room, 2 room, and you have 2 kids, 3 kids running around there. There's no privacy. That includes me as well. I'm talking about my own experience here. So you can't really emphasize on the quality of the work. You can get the work done, but the quality of the work depreciates. And the final thing that the bosses should do is reconstructing how the work should be done. That is where the planning should come at the very beginning stage. So the bosses must do the planning before ensuring and giving them the green light to work from home. So it is never the fault of the worker or an officer that the production level is low. I always think that the bosses should come with a plan, should come with an operational plan to ensure that the staff really, truly, and sincerely dedicates his work, even from home or remote areas. So, but apart from this is what we want. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we want for those who are working from home. But apart from this, there are a few things as well that research has gathered that I would like to share with you. There's, I think, about 5 crucial impacts of working from home after the COVID-19. Because I know we are in Asian countries, we are from Malaysia or from Bangladesh, or we are from selected areas for all the participants I noticed just now. But the truth is we have to see this in a global perspective, because when you see it in a global perspective, it gives you a different dimension. It gives you a different picture or viewpoint on how to reflect on ourselves. So again, I'll come back to before COVID. Before COVID-19, the largest disruptions to work involved new technologies and growing trade links. COVID-19 has, for the first time, elevated the importance of physical dimension of work. Before COVID, we don't use much of online, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you'll agree with me. We don't know what is Zoom, what is Google Link, what is Teams. We only know Facebook and probably Instagram, and we were very active there. But now, apparently, this has emerged, which actually is a good thing that's happened. So this offers a different viewpoints of work rather than just traditional sector of definitions. For some instance, let me share with you this. In some countries, the medical care area includes only caregiving roles requiring close interactions with patients, such as doctors and nurses. Hospital and medical office administrative staff fall into the computer-based work arena, where more work can be done remotely. So even doctors and nurses in some states and some countries are working remotely, not just based in hospital. Lab technicians and pharmacists work in the indoor production work area because these jobs require the use of specialized equipment on site. But these have less or little exposure to other people. That means if you have to go on site, you have to leave. You can't be adamant and stay in the office. You have to go to on site. You can't say, oh, I want to stay in the house and work. No, it doesn't work that way. This is what I meant, ladies and gentlemen, of the job highest physical proximity is likely to be disrupted. This is what I mentioned, but I forgot to put in the slide. Okay, the next impact. Okay, this impact is also crucial. It comes back to money. E-commerce has grown 2 to 5 times faster than before the pandemic. Okay, I'm sure you'll agree with me. I mean, look at the Grab. Look at all the, what we call the Grab drivers who have earned much more than me and you during the pandemic, because everybody is staying from home and they're earning the money. So everybody wants to have something to do with Grab or with a taxi or with something that helping the people. Just wear the mask and drive probably is earning 5 to 6K per month, which is more than you and me that is earning. But of course, the job is tough. The job is not difficult. He has to be in the sunlight. He has to be in the rain. He has to be in the thunderstorm. But still, he gets the money probably more than you and me. So for this, Many customers has discovered and the convenience of e-commerce and other online activities during the pandemic, which is true. Roughly 3/4 of people using digital channels for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time during the pandemic said that they will continue using them when things return to normal, which means that this is also to stay. Working from home to stay, e-commerce to stay. So these are few positive impacts that has created just by working from home. So the third impact, okay, this is very crucial for developing or developed countries, especially now we see China and India, they are really developing in this. So, and also South Korea. So COVID-19 may propel faster adoption and automation and artificial intelligence, especially work arenas with high physical proximity. So there are two ways business historically have controlled cost and mitigated uncertainty during the recessions are by adopting automation and redesigning work processes. So we do not see this from home. My dear friends, we don't see this from home because when we see we are not aware of what's happening in other countries. This is what's happening in other countries, and it has impacted a large number of positive attributes throughout the world. So this is something that we need to know, that COVID-19 is not merely about death. It's not merely about losing jobs. It's not merely about not seeing your parents, not seeing your friends for so many years, wearing the mask, suffocating. No, it's beyond that when you see the positive impact of what has happened. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not welcoming another wave of COVID-19. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm trying to say that is there's always a positive thing in a negative situation. So what happens for artificial intelligence, AI? So many companies have deployed automation and AI in warehouse, grocery stalls, call centers, manufacturing plants to reduce the workplace density and cope surges in demand. The work areas with high levels of human interaction are highly to see the greatest acceleration in adoption of automation and AI. So there are a lot of countries, especially Germany, Europe, they are really working towards AI, but the idea came after the pandemic or during the pandemic, not before the pandemic. So we are still not far behind. We can still catch up. For those of you who love to do research, you can always do some research on this. Not exactly do a hands-on research because we are all educationalists. Probably you can come up with a paper thinking that what type of framework that you can use and utilize to do certain things about automation and AI. And the fourth impact, which many of us do not realize, is the mixture or the mix of occupations may shift with little job growth in low-wage occupations. Okay, again, I will go back to COVID. The trends accelerated by COVID-19 may spur greater changes in the mix of jobs within the economies than we estimated before the pandemic. Compared to pre-pandemic, always must remember the pre and post. So let us think, always go back to the past. Compared to pre-pandemic estimates, we expect the largest negative impact of the pandemic to fall on workers in food service and customer sales and service roles, as well as less skilled office support roles. Jobs in warehouse, transportation may increase as a result of growth in e-commerce and the delivery of economy, but those increases are unlikely to offset the disruption of many low-wage jobs. So the demand is actually for whom, the demand is for workers in healthcare and STEM occupations. This is according to one of the latest research that's been done in Europe. So many may grow than before the pandemic. So these healthcare and STEM occupations may grow even before and after the pandemic. If you are interested in share market, if you see the share market on healthcare, you see, they made a tons of money during the pandemic by selling masks and gloves and the sanitizers. If you see the share market, it has really grown. It has really accelerated during the pandemic, what they're trying to say now, and even after the pandemic, because people will be cautious. People will be scared. People will be still thinking of what's going to happen next, or what's going to happen. Is the pandemic going to come? Now we have one more, the latest one called monkeypox. Monkeypox, there's no cure that I'm being told. So there's non-stop, there's something coming in. So, but at the same time, what companies do, they try to be innovative. They try to be creative. They tried their level best to improve on the technologies and try to make money out of it, because money creates the economy wheels running. So the fifth impact, okay, this is also crucial. As many as 25%, more workers may need to switch occupations than before the pandemic. So this is not entirely beautiful, because not everybody would like to shift jobs. Some of them would like to just stay, like my parents, they worked in a school for almost 35 years to 42 years. But they were lucky, they did not have monkeypox, did not live in the era of COVID, SARS. So they were much more in a very settled and healthy environment with lesser natural disasters at that time. So at present moment, we need to be more creative with our job, with our occupations. At the same time, we need to be ready all the time what's going to happen next. So before the pandemic, just 6%, let me just share with you shortly, just 6% of the workers would need to find jobs, higher wage occupations. The most disadvantaged workers may have the biggest job transition. I repeat, the most disadvantaged workers may have the biggest job transition ahead because of their inconsistent employment in the areas most affected by COVID-19. Similarly, the need for occupational younger workers, you'll hit the younger workers more than the older workers, because the younger ones need to be more competitive. The younger one needs to be more captivating in terms of getting the eye of the any bosses, because the bosses will demand. You need to know online infrastructures. You need to know how to handle a Zoom. You need to come up with a Zoom link. You need to know when to on the sound, when not to on the sound. So this one, for some researchers, may seem quite not very important. What I'm trying to say is, but many of us out there, ladies and gentlemen, according to research, are still ignorant about this. But since I am from Southeast Asia, I'm representing Southeast Asia, I think it's also crucial, apart from your respective countries, apart from global perspective, it's also important to know what is happening, what are the potential impacts that COVID-19 has brought to our neighboring countries, because these are our neighbors. And we need to know what's happening there itself before we even surge forward to European countries or US or other continents. So you see, many of our neighboring countries are already going digital at the banks. There are much lesser queues at banks. Don't wait they're not doing appointments to see the officers. So there are also bad things here. That means the bank can even retrench the bank officers. So I'll say always there's a two side to one coin. So you need to be prepared. So a war for talent emerges. Of course, what I say was what I just mentioned, that you need to know so many technical skills, and the future of work is going to be hybrid, whether you like it or not. So even after COVID, you can't go to an office not knowing how to handle online infrastructures. You need to know how to handle online platforms. You need to know how to handle your boss's interviews, your boss's presentations, how to upload his presentations, how to reduce the volume, how to create a link. So these are very, very minor things that I'm telling for those of you who are already expert out there, but it is crucial for those who are finding job. So you need to be prepared. You can't blame the internet line is slow, or the server is slow. We are already beyond that. And online job interviews are here to stay. This is one more issue, is the third thing that's going to stay, which is online job interviews. So this is a trick here, ladies and gentlemen, because there are many companies and universities purposely give online interviews because they want to see whether you are talented in terms of handling whatever I have said just now about Zoom, Google Meet, and so on. They want to see whether you are capable of that, because it has already become norm, daily life routine, that you just take your laptop, go anywhere and just start off, and you have to do meetings with international organizations or overseas meetings or even the neighbor next to your house. Upskilling impacts the talent recruitment. It is also true. We need to know many things about upskilling's impact as well. And finally, this is the pressure on technology infrastructure. Again, companies who's dealing with software, computers, monitors, anything to do with digital will earn the money. So if you are finding for a job perspective, so find jobs in such companies that you think will continue to develop, progress, and create success, not just for the company, not just for you, but the whole society as well, wherever you live in. So I guess that's all pretty much from me that I would like to share from Southeast Asia's perspective and also global perspective. If you have any question, you can always give me in chat box, and you can always email me or Google my name in the website. We can always share ideas. I'm open for discussions. So that's all from me. So, well, thank you so much. Very nice to be here once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kamalaswaran, from the land of smiling people in Thailand. So it's wonderful to hear about the challenges that we are indeed facing. And indeed, if we are not updated with our technological amenities, as we say, tech savvy these days, so all need to be tech savvy, and we cannot give any more excuses of having no connectivity, less connectivity, and all those sort of things. These are actually story of the past nowadays. Yes. Thank you so much, Doctor, to have shared with us your wonderful information. I really highly appreciate you taking out your time from your busy schedule today. Of course, I'm walking.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now from Thailand, we move on to Africa. We are going now to Namibia. At this moment, we are going to have few academic paper presentations. For today, we will be having 5 academic paper presentations. So first of all, we move on to Namibia. It is going to be the topic on e-tourism. But before I start that part, I would like to say that the paper presenters, we're going to have approximately 15 minutes time, 1-5, to make the presentation. You have to share the slide on your own, and then followed by 5 minutes of your question and answer session from our panelists. Today we have with us Ms. Anjali Devi as a panelist. So we'll just have some question and answer session on that. So the first paper presenter is coming up on prospects for manpower development in tourism, retraining for relevance in the post-COVID-19 world, by Mr. Gerald Cloet and Professor Dr. Joram Andilavu. Over to you, Mr. Gerald. You can start sharing the screen. Thank you. Mr. Gerald, can you hear me? Yes, Mr. Gerald, you may start sharing. Okay, I think it's another, yeah, Mr. Gerald is here. Okay, great. We cannot hear you, Mr. Gerald.
Prof, am I audible? Good morning.
Yes, yes, very good morning up there in Namibia. We can hear you well clear. Yes, you may start, please. Thank you.
A very good morning to you all, professors. All protocol observed. Let me jump onto that bandwagon that was already established. And thank you very much for this opportunity to be able to present. Our paper is called Prospects for Manpower Development in Tourism, Retraining for Relevance in the Post-COVID-19 World. I'm from Namibia, And our co-author here is Associate Professor Dr. Joram Ndlovu from the University of KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. COVID-19 has demonstrated that we are living in a turbulent environment that is uncertain. This phenomenon is not the first and will not be the last, considering changes that are happening around us. The lessons learned from COVID-19 are vital in redirecting business processes on the significance of technology. COVID-19 pandemic caused also many challenges for businesses, in particular the tourism sector. Regardless of growth in manpower development and the available complex training programs, tourism businesses continue to face a number of challenges in upskilling and reskilling of the workforce. So even though lifelong learning has been promoted by many businesses, low-skilled employees have been excluded from participation. Now, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic caused a deep contraction in the global economy, with tourism being the most affected. Due to the velocity of transmission, governments globally decided to introduce restrictions to curb the disperse of the virus. As a result, working from home is now the new formula. Virtual learning is now converting a vital part of the education system. Full classrooms, the hustle and the bustle, talks and play are now given the aura of digitalization, and then eventually online learning technologies are succeeding in transforming the student's living room into a classroom, especially with the modern regulations and the policies influencing by COVID-19 pandemic. Now, yes, we focused on literature that was reviewed and so on, in particular coping with COVID-19, and can work from home be the new norm? In actual fact, it reveals that working from home influences family values and improve relationships. Flexible and increased work performance as limited distractions, and also some people did not feel isolated in particular. Kaur and Harsim Ran actually focused on changing technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, cloud computing, and data science are rapidly changing the world out there in particular. And then last but not least, the world has witnessed many turbulences, and in particular 4 significant recessions over this last 7 decades in particular. Something which is also quite interesting from Dr. Kaushik Meenakshi is the fact that HR managers and consultants mentioned that you need to rethink, you need to redesign, and you need to reimagine in a new way of transition and emergence of the remote work environment in particular. Now, the aim of the research, in particular this paper, was to examine the measures that has been put in place by tourism businesses to support sustainable tourism recovery. The research also seeks to discuss the impact of rapid change in the global technological environment. Our objectives here was to discuss measures employed by tourism businesses to promote lifelong learning, to examine the strategies employed by tourism businesses, and to discuss the rate of adoption. In addition to that, to analyze the approaches employed by tourism businesses in particular. So when it comes to the research methodology, a qualitative approach was actually used, where 12 key informants from the industry academia, and alumni were interviewed. Interviews were conducted on a face-to-face basis. Interviews were transcribed. Academics consulted constituted the majority of the participants. The participants were selected purposefully. Participants were also chosen based on the researchers' knowledge, and the population size was determined after reaching a saturation level. In conducting the study, non-pharmaceutical COVID-19 protocols were also observed. Now, a non-response rate of 20% was achieved. The researcher administered the interviews orally with general managers and instructors at vocational training centers and lecturers at the hotel school in particular, which focused on hospitality, culinary arts, and then tourism management, just to give you an idea. Most of the participants had more than 10 years experience, and all the participants actually had degrees and more than or higher than degrees. Most of the respondents indicated that they were involved in further training. Some of the programs that was actually included and that was actually started off with was Shine Leadership Program, in particular at the hotels. Short courses were also done, supervisory training, and a very important aspect was women in leadership. Now for managers, lean management was actually also embarked on. In order to support sustainable tourism recovery, hotels have started off with food waste program. They also had a strategy to save water and then electricity in particular. When it comes to water, low flow water was actually looked at and focused on, with some sensors in particular in the public areas and so on. On the other hand, establishments have implemented climate change adaptations into hotel growing own vegetables, in actual fact focus on permaculture and intercropping in particular. Generation gas was also used, especially with kitchen waste, and then, like I said earlier on, filtering water, in this particular case, grey water. So the focus has basically shifted towards reuse, reduce, and recycle in particular. Another issue that actually came strong forth was the aspect of rapid change in the global tourism environment. What happened here, in particular, accommodation bookings and so on, was focused on with very short lead times. Global distribution systems were also being utilized and focused on hybrid approaches and so on. Employees were motivated on the use of technology and trained on the use of e-learning in particular. Wireless networks were also installed and more funding were actually being allocated towards internet resources in particular. Skill transfers and versatility also came forth. And something which was quite interesting is the fact that academics were of the opinion that they were not adequately prepared to respond to the changing employment scenarios, since there was limited training and lack of financial support for blended learning. In order to support development of relevant competencies and skills during transformation in the labor market, new trends that has emerged include the use of social media, job adverts on social media, and the use of celebrities in particular. In order to promote cooperation and creativity in responding to challenging times, participants emphasized on enhancing team cohesion. Organizations need to also start sharing ICT technologies. The contribution of this research in particular, there are a number of benefits associated with upskilling and reskilling. Reskilling the employees to be lifelong learners and critical thinkers would ultimately benefit the organizations and help employees in their self-growth. Whilst the pandemic had devastating effects on the tourism sector, it has accelerated the adoption of digital technologies and digital offerings in particular. The paper contributes also to the new discourse on the role of ICT in the new world order in particular. Higher education institutions have to put priority in preparing their staff on the use of ICT in order for them to navigate into the future. Tourism organizations should promote sustainability, and institutions in tourism organizations should identify and develop relevant competencies and skills required in the labor market during the transformation age. So in conclusion, the paper concludes that cooperation and creativity, continuous professional development, and IT have to change the tourism businesses and help other sectors to adapt and enter into a new digital transformation. Therefore, manpower development in tourism should transform tourism staff to respond to the changing employment scenarios in terms of uncertainties. Thus, in a nutshell, reskilling will help them to learn new skills to perform multiple tasks. Upskilling of these employees will help employees to learn new skills to do the same job with different techniques in particular. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Gerald, for the presentation on prospects for manpower development in tourism, retraining for relevance in the post-COVID-19 world. Okay, I would like to move on to my panelist today, Ms. Anjali, for any clarifications or any question that you may have on this presentation.
Greetings, everybody. Hi, Mr. Gerald. I understood you presented about prospect for manpower development. It is more of a concern than a question, because I saw when you are talking about the data collection process, you involve academicians, researchers, and so on. However, there is no representativeness from the tourism industry, as you are putting the research, and the scope of the research is tourism industry or tourism. So any representatives from the tourism probably would have given more insight. That's my concern. And I have seen that you have presented in your findings that probably adopting the technology will be helpful, and reskilling the employees will be helpful for the tourism industry. Can you explain further in sense of how by reskilling, because reskilling is focusing on employees, but tourism is very broad. Is the research is focusing on a specific type of tourism like medical tourism or education tourism? Is it focusing on a very specific type of tourism or tourism in general? So how are you going to address that particular issue? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was quite an interesting comment and question in particular. I want to mention that, yes, when it comes to the tourism industry in particular, Namibia is a very small country in particular. And we have a population of only 2.5 million people. Now, when it comes to tourism in particular, I focused on a number of tourism lecturers and tourism instructors in particular. And also in the tourism industry, I also looked at various managers in the tourism industry in particular, at hotels and departmental managers in tourism businesses in particular, just to give you an idea. Yes, when it comes to reskilling in particular, it is definitely in the tourism industry in Namibia in particular. And here in particular, I talk about Windhoek. That was actually my scope. And reskilling of employees in particular, low-level employees, as I mentioned also earlier on, the aspect was actually that low-level employees actually received very little training. It was more higher-level individuals that was actually trained and received more training in particular. And that's the idea of reskilling that needs to come forth, which will help them to learn new skills and to perform better with multiple tasks, especially now that our borders are open and the tourists are actually coming to Namibia now more than ever. Upskilling is also of utmost importance, and this will also help employees in particular, the low-level employees, which was affected quite a lot as well. And I can also say quite a lot, and the most in Namibia in particular. And this needs to help employees to learn new skills, to do the same job with different techniques in particular. I trust this is sufficient, ma'am. And thank you very much once again for the opportunity to be able to share with you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gerald, for that response. All right. Thank you, Mr. Gerald. We move on now from Namibia to the Middle East. Our next paper presenter is going to be Muhammad Salim Suwaid from Sultanate of Oman, and he'll be presenting on online work from home issues and challenges. Over to you, Muhammad Salim Suwaid, for your presentation, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you just, I'm just sharing screen, Mr. Gerald, if you kindly take off your screen.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it visible, Professor?
It is visible. Yes, you may start. Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, Professor, for inviting me for this conference. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Good evening. My name is Mohammed Salim Al-Waisi, and I am from Sultanate of Oman, working for Oman Arab Bank as head of Muscat branches. Well, my paper topic is online work from home issues and to identify the issues, challenges, and benefits. Well, during the pandemic of COVID-19, for the past 2 years, working from home has become a new normal to our life, which to our business world as well. However, the world is recovering from the pandemic through normalizing the business activities. Well, it has been also a tough challenge for the existing staff, where all our staff were, they don't know what will happen further until they practice the remotely working from home. The case firm of Oman Arab Bank, I have done some research in Oman Arab Bank, and the research work will emphasize on the issues and challenges of the online work from home. Due to technological innovation, work from home allows flexibility and personalization of the existing stuff. The purpose of this study to investigate how Oman Arab Bank employees collaborated online work from home during the pandemic of COVID-19, which was a good, have a positive and negative experience as well, which we'll see in our next slides, inshallah. By the middle of 2020, the government across the world decided to restrict people from public movements and and to keep a social distance. Therefore, the concept of working from home came into existence, and this was due to the pandemic as a precautionary measures taken by various governments across the world. The scope of research The COVID-19 pandemic forced the organization rapidly adopt to the culture of the work or to work from home. It includes both employees and customers as well, where the online channels has been increased. The usage of online channels has been increased as a banking sectors, which is positively affected or impacted in our business. We have checked some literature review, and some of mostly positive. We have found less commuting and more control over time, more autonomy, less office-related distraction, and more comfortable environment. More flexibility as well, one of the positive impact. And some of negative impact, as you can see, a solution from colleagues, less defined work-life boundaries, higher need for self-discipline, and relentless private infrastructure, as well as communication difficulties with college. Well, the methodology we has taken, we have done some online survey through AMS form tool to the staff of Oman Arab Bank. And the survey reflected exploratory research that was aimed to gain insight into the respondents' adoption and formalization of the work from home culture. We have some interesting finding how, in terms of benefits of working from home, it was identified that, as also mentioned by Dr. Musharraf, there was less of waste time in traveling, more productivity. We have find that also the respondents were of the opinion that they feel quite cheaper to work from home because of cost saved costs, travel, and time saved during the travel. The survey questions also pertaining the challenge of working from home, and the main issue identified by the respondents is lack of face-to-face communication and lack of eye contact. Some of the challenges of working from home, of course, for the children disruption, for those who have families, the children, and sometimes what I'm facing right now, we have poor internet in some occasions. We found some of them said snacking and gaining weight because they are at home and they keep eating sometime. Lack of printing facilities, which can affect also. It depends on the work nature, and lack of access to necessary documents as well. Lack of informal discussion and advice. Usually, in the work area environment, we usually talk to colleagues and get their advice as well in any small or big issues. Okay. Some of the benefits we highlighted: more familiarity with the technology and IT, less travel time, saving time, more time with the family. Of course, they will spend more time with the family, and they might be more productivity, and of course comfortable in clothing. The contribution, the main opportunity from the work is to reduce transportation, of course, lack of social activity and face-to-face interaction and communication. Employees working from home have also faced serious health issues, motivational drawbacks. And last, the physical activity were low while using only a room or a chair, no activity, no walking or doing any exercises. Some recommendation we have highlighted also to maintain a regular hours, which means whenever someone is working from home, they feel free to move and to keep not responding. There will be no immediate response, and to be there should be a schedule routine from the organization, as well as the breaks. Maintain a work-life balance, and not to hesitate to ask for what we need, even if we are at home, so that will give more flexibility. Maintain a separate phone number to avoid any disruption. The conclusion, this study was conducted for analyzing or to identify the issues and challenges of working from home. The success of online survey itself shows that work from home has some efficiency and productivity. The main advantage of remote working: reduce travel, saving time and cost, and increase the productivity for staff working from home. I think I went very fast. That's all presenting my paper. You're most welcome in any question or in any question you may raise or comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Al-Awaisi, for the beautiful presentation. May I kindly request Ms. Anjali Devi?
Hi again, Mr. Muhammad Al. I have a question. The question is related to work-life balance. In your literature review, you have mentioned that the work from home, one of the negative outcome is that there is a less defined work-life balance. And in your conclusion also, you mentioned that by having work from home, it has prevented the work-life boundary. Now, I would like to hear from you, as you have conducted the research about work from home and the issues and the challenges. In your opinion, out of your search for literature review, how you could, despite of having work from home, how you can still maintain a work-life balance? What the companies can do in order to help their employees, okay, to maintain the work-life balance? Thank you.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. What I understood is you are asking about work-life balance. As I mentioned also, Doctor, it depends on the organization working. It depends on what type of work they have. I suggested to have a clear schedule for the employees by hours divided, what they're supposed to do in each hour, and when is the break, when is the end of working hours. Because sometimes the employees, when they don't have any emails, any work to do, they just keep their chair and table and they work out. Suddenly, when they receive an email, they are not there, and they will have a late response. So what I suggested is to have a clear timetable for the employees and strictly to follow that table on timing basis. Thank you. Hope that makes the question clear, Doctor.
Essentially, any further clarification that you may need or more elaboration on that?
Just my suggestion. When we talk about the challenges and the issues, there are plenty. Maybe each of the issues and challenges need to be explored more detail. That is my only suggestion. And to my humble opinion, sometimes the challenges that faced by women and the challenges faced by men when comes about work from home, it may be different because the gender roles is different. So therefore, the challenges and issues pertain to the work from home also may different. So can take this particular gender differences and the gender roles into consideration. Okay, that's all my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll take that into consideration. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Sanjali Devi, for that suggestions. Thank you. And thank you, Mohammed Rawaisi, for presenting that. I hope you can make those with amendment for.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, now all the way from Sultanate of Oman. Now we move on to China. Our next paper presenter is going to present on silver wave in Douyin, media practice and self-presentation of Chinese retirees, pandemic era perception by Huan Do. Over to you, Huan Do. You will have around 15 minutes, 15, to make the presentation. Thank you. You may start sharing.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Asif, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear my Karen and hear my, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My Chinese name is Huan Do, and you can call me Willa. Today my presentation title is Civil Wave in Douyin, Media Practice and Self-Presentation of Chinese Retirees from Pandemic Area Perception. My co-author is Professor Dr. Asif. For me, it's a very good pleasure to introduce this paper. And today I will introduce this paper from 3 parts. The first one is why we did this study. And the second part is about the research methods and the recent results will be presented. The third part is the conclusion. So why the motivation of this study is like this? Work from home. Maybe I'm from China. On the one hand, in this pandemic area, China has implementing a zero clean policy in response to COVID-19 lockdown policies make people stay at home. We have to work, we have to study or have fun online. And now technology is developing very fast. It's available and affordable for most of our users. And also we cannot ignore the power of capital. So combined this effects, the number of Douyin users is very huge. It has reached 934 million. Therefore, Douyin, this new medium has attracted us to study deeply. On the other hand, the elderly are often regarded as the laggards in the information age. However, from this figure, we find that the elderly internet users aged 60 years old and above in China reached 190 million. The internet penetration rate of the elderly population aged 60 years old and above reached 43.2%. So, first of all, Douyin, as we all know, TikTok, and the company launched the Civil Shine Plan in 2020 with training old adults to consume and produce short videos on Douyin. This plan is very beautiful, very successful. All the users have created about 600 million videos until April 2021. We all know Douyin provides a stage for younger users to present themselves, but we don't know how the older users present themselves on Douyin and what motivations make them to use Douyin. Therefore, based on this previous work, we focused on the urban retirees through observation and interviews to explore these research questions. One, what is the specific representation of the daily practice? What group image characteristics do them present on Douyin platform? And what's the motivation of urban retirees to idealize their self-presentation? And this part is the literature review. We can browse it quickly. The motivation attracted us to study this topic because China is in a period of rapid aging. Although some scholars have researched the civil-haired internet celebrities, we can learn from the literature review. Most of the elderly who are invisible in the new media, we think they should be observed more comprehensive and lasting attention. Some scholars have discussed the daily practice among rural old adults. Meanwhile, the media practice and self-presentation of urban retirees are also worth studying. So we conduct a qualitative study. In the first stage, we collect data by participatory observation. 26 Douyin accounts were selected through purposive sampling based on the following criteria. Accounts have to belong to a retiree user, and they must be 60 years old and above. And the account should be actively every day. We can learn from table 1. And we analyzed this to 26 accounts from their profiles page with content analysis method, and we observe their communication with their followers. In the second stage, we recruit searching people, 4 men and 9 women. The oldest one is 75 years old. Based on grounded theory, we found that first, the ideal image characteristics of the retiree Douyin bloggers are optimistic, fashionable, willing to share, friendly, and humble. And the most primary motivations for them is maintaining acquaintance relationships, self-expression, and entertainment. They actively present their image, show self-confidence, and don't care about negative comments. And the study also found that old adults were inspired by their friends to log in. Interestingly, we find the female are keen to use various filters than the male to present a useful and fashionable personal image. Finally, I have to say the study found that I must say a few words about this study. The study revealed that the retired Douyin bloggers' primary need is maintaining the acquaintance relationship. This is different with the young users. And it reminds scholars to consider age essential when studying social media research. And it's still essential for us to research this topic. Future studies could explore the differences in self-presentation between different countries or age groups in detail. Secondly, scholars could explore the factors influencing content creation for Douyin bloggers. And it's meaningful for future research to compare and analyze the followers' differences between old and younger. And in conclusion, the qualitative study describes the daily life, Douyin practice, and the self-presentation characteristics of retirees. Moreover, the study explores the motivation of self-presentation of them. And I have to say the study enriches the aging communication on the topic of social media. That's all. Thank you for your attention. Hello.
Yes, thank you very much, Villa Doe, for the presentation. Okay, may I kindly request Ms. Anjali Devi for your input onto this paper, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Villa.
Hi.
Your topic is very interesting. Probably this is the first time I'm hearing about what's going on in China pertaining to this kind of applications, social applications. I have a few concerns. Let me raise the concerns first, and then I will go to. I have one question to you. The question is that since you mentioned that you are using snowballing as a sampling technique, I would like to know what is your justification for going for snowballing? Does it mean the respondents are hard to reach, or do you have any other specific reason for go for snowballing technique?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I use the snowballing to recruit. Yes, to recruit the key person is my mother. Is my mother. She's retired from the factory, and yes, she introduced me to her friends. Most of them are from western of China. And then and from there and from her friend, I browse their account and follow their followers to chat with them.
I understand now, which means
yeah.
you reach your mother, and through your mother you meet other respondents. So since they are different part of what you call China, so you use the snowballing technique to meet them. That's okay. And you also has mentioned that this particular group of people who are active, the old age people or the retirees who are active, they are having they are considered to be invisible celebrity. What you mean when you say invisible celebrity, and can you explain further about it?
Okay. This please. Previous research usually focus on the severe head internet celebrities. celebrities, they have 100 million followers, but the common the common users, you know, they maybe just have 700 several thousand followers. Or like
Okay.
my mother is, they are invisible. Actually, they don't attract other scholars because they usually focus on these celebrities. Actually, the celebrities, behind the celebrities, there are several companies to how to
Someone else working behind them, is it? Is that what you're
Yes.
trying to say? Okay.
Yeah,
Is there
so
a, that means the people using this kind of social application mainly for the purpose of earning money only, yeah? Or else
Yes. Yes.
only earning money. Then I
Yes,
have a concern, suggestions to you. I understand you are studying about the involvement of elderly people in the social side, but it is not, you are not trying to say anything further. What I'm trying to say is that, see, you mentioned they are using this platform to show themselves youthful, fashionable, and you are saying a lot of things about them. But what it is related to? Is it about towards their does it help them to earn income, or is it about enhancing their mortality rate? They are living longer. What are you relating with? It is not relating with any for time being, but my suggestion is that if you could relate with something, because it looks like I only can see the independent variable. I could not see the dependent variable. That's my concern. Okay. So if you are linking with something, probably you want to link with the happiness index or whatsoever, probably that would be, in my humble opinion, okay, it would be more complete research. Okay, whatever you are doing now is very good. I am appreciating you because this is the first time I'm seeing this side of China, this part of the social side of China. That's good. But if you can relate with something else, another dependent variable, probably it would be very complete. Okay, so that's my suggestion. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a very good suggestion. Actually, this is a content analyze paper. I know. I just to explore the motivation and why they use this social media.
Okay.
Okay. It's a qualitative study.
I understand.
I used the grounded theory.
Okay, dear. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julie, for those nice input onto the paper. And thank you very much, Vida, for that timely presentation on the TikTok, the version of Chinese version of the TikTok, Dion. Okay. So just take into note on the comment of the panelist so that, you know, we can input that and improve that part in our research. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now from China, we move on to another part of the world. It's in Africa. We move on to hybrid models for remote work practices in the post-pandemic era, prospects and challenges by Rumbidzai Katsande and Dr. Nadia Farhana from Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, Prof, for the opportunity that you have given me to present the topic on the work from home, hybrid models for remote work practices in the post-pandemic era, prospects and challenges. I'll try just to make justice to what has also been given as in our maiden speech on the opening with the professors that have taken the HR perspective. All right, waiting for the slide, I think.
Just one moment. Just trying to have a
Thank
look.
you.
Are you able to see the slide?
Not yet.
Okay. Just give me that some moment. Is it visible?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. The paper is titled Hybrid Models for Remote Work Practices in the Post-Pandemic Era, Prospects and Challenges. It's co-authored by Dr. Nadia Farana from Bangladesh and myself. My name is Rumbidzai Katsande and I am from Zimbabwe. The paper, the presentation layout will start with the background, the scope of the research literature review, research methodology, summary and findings, contributions, recommendations, and conclusions. Remote work has gained greater importance in the past 3 years globally, with more organizations resorting to hybrid models for remote work practices. Much of the growing interest stems from the imposed movement, restrictions by lockdowns, quarantines, and self-imposed isolations that remote work has become the key actor in redesigning workplaces, technology, human capital management, and work policies. The scope of the research focused on HRM policies and practices in order to harness productive employee engagement using the hybrid model in the post-pandemic era. The paper also examined specific policy frameworks that governs work models prior to the pandemic and also gave some recommendations on the work models after the pandemic. It also focused on how organizations and their labor administration systems adapted to prospects and challenges brought by the pandemic. On literature review, human resource management has grown to the emphasis of strategic roles in the management process to meet business objectives. In this regard, the traditional approaches were grounded on process and content modules, which was called the Harvard model. So on the screen, we have the Harvard model. The Harvard model was modeled by Fombran et al., published at Michigan. He looks at the stakeholder interests, situational factors, HRM policies, policy choices, on the stakeholder interest, particularly is looking at shareholders, management, employee groups, government, community, and unions. Then situational factors is the workforce characteristics, business strategy and conditions, management philosophy, labor unions, technology, laws, and societal values. HRM policy choices, he looked at the employee influence, human resources flow, reward systems, work systems, HR outcomes, that is the commitment, competence, congruence, cost effectiveness, long-term consequences, individual well-being, organizational effectiveness, and societal well-being. As a counterpart, Fombran et al. Published the Michigan approach, which focused more on the functional level of the human resource management, that focused on human resource cycle, which depended upon selection, appraisal, rewards, and development. So you see there is the diagram which have selection, performance, appraisal leading to rewards, and appraisal to development. That is the Michigan approach. I have also looked at the literature review for recruitment and selection, training and development, rewards management, performance management. In other words, coming back to recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection contains common elements that focus on the attraction, identification, and retention of staff. The training and development, the terms training and development can cover a multitude of activities. In skill development, it should not assume that all training will increase or improve skills, but the fact is that we will be looking in skills development on the hybrid models. Rewards management, the employment contract is an indeterminate exchange whereby a labor power is exchanged for a cash wage. So we'll look at the reward management in holistic with the compensation. Then performance management. Performance management is a process that enables employees to perform their jobs to the best of their abilities with the aim of achieving or exceeding established targets and standards that are directly linked to the organization's objectives. That one is from Hewitt et al. 2018. So whilst we are looking at the performance management, there are stages of a typical performance management systems. Maybe if we can move on to the slide where there is where there are stages of a typical performance management system. There is need to define business role, where we are looking at the job description, objectives of the department or group. Also, we have the planning performance, establish individual objectives, agree development plans. The slide with the stages of a typical performance management. Sorry, Prof.
Can you tell me which slide you are following so I can put that one, slide number?
slide number 12.
Slide number
Slide
12.
number 12. Yes.
Okay. It's okay. Stages?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Here we are looking at the stages of a typical performance management system, where we are saying there's need to define the business role, the job description, objectives of the department or group. Then it feeds into the planning performance, establish individual objectives, agree development plans, delivering the and monitoring, ongoing manager support, ongoing review and feedback. Then the formal assessment and reward. That is the conduct annual review linked to pay or not. But we need also to look, I think some presenters that were before me looked much on the prospects and challenges of the hybrid model practices. But I will look on the work premise versus remote work practices. Working from the work premise, yes, several prospects that include the ability by the employers to have a central control of employees at the same place to manage diversity, work culture, managing and maintaining standards of competitiveness. There is also direct supervision and control of desired targets, which helps the employer to instill commitment and innovativeness among employees. Confidentiality can be also maintained, which brings an environment that builds work teams. This is literally opposed to the financial implications of remote working. Remote working poses a greater financial burden on the organization as it tries to invest in equipment that can be used remotely by workers, such as laptops and Wi-Fi accessories. Besides the investment cost, the risk of damage or loss of the company equipment is very high. Working from home involves a lot of disturbances, the distractions that include family responsibilities, facility-related issues, housekeeping activities, and maybe unconducive environment considering other social issues. However, the remote work approach has some prospects that cannot be overlooked. There is a great financial relief that can result from working at home. This includes reduced office rental costs, reduced utility bills, that is the water, the electricity bills, as well as reduced employees' transport costs. In addition to that, the remote working is been found to be critical, especially during the implementation of lockdown in the COVID-19 pandemic era. It has allowed so many workers to execute their duties, holding meetings and conferences virtually since there were movement restrictions. As the result of the work from premise approach tends to expand capital investment cost or rental, utility bills, transport costs, canteen facilities, and also need some auxiliary workers who do not directly contribute to the main mandate of the organization. Nevertheless, the hybrid model has been since taken as the probable approach during the trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of the jobs were compatible with remote working, which includes most of the office work, desk research, educational professions, while others which were not compatible with the remote working practice depended on rotational arrangement to decongest the work premises in order to keep the spread of COVID-19. The framework of the labor administration system, international governments, sector organizational and individual employee perspective. The International Labour Organization has come up with a decent work agenda through its various ILO conventions and recommendations. Through its various conventions, the ILO gives a legal framework for member countries to adopt and ratify given labor standards. The concept, roles, and functions of a labor administration system is defined in ILO Convention number 150 and recommendation number 158. Labor administration is responsible for all aspects of national labor policy formulation and implementation, depending on member states. Okay. On our findings, before I move on to the findings, I will just tackle the research methodology. Due to its exploratory nature, a qualitative approach was adopted for this study. Qualitative research was also appropriate to examine at a deep level the impact of experiences, behavior, and individual interaction on business operations. A same-structured approach was used to guide the interviews, as it allows key questions to be asked of all respondents while ensuring flexibility to follow up on emerging topics and themes and to adapt the participants' perspectives. On findings, the slide for findings. To focus our investigation, we established 4 functional areas of the human resources from the literature to explore the prospects and challenges of the hybrid model for remote in the post-COVID-19 pandemic era. An overview of the regulation framework through the labor administration system was made. The results presented the link between perspectives of managers from the health, education, retail, service, distribution, and manufacturing sectors in Zimbabwe, and the 4 functional levels that were recruitment and selection, training and development, reward management, as well as performance management. This research show that the prospects and challenges embedded in the human resource perspective on the hybrid model for remote work practices in the post-COVID-19 pandemic era. The study was conceptualized around the labor administration system and narrowed down to the 4 functional areas of the human resources management, which are the recruitment and selection, training and development, reward management, as well as performance management. Therefore, the researchers analyzed the prospects and challenges perceived in these functional areas using the responses from 6 managers. Theoretical contribution. Maybe before I move on to theoretical contribution, I think I can still have time to go through some of the responses that were being given on recruitment and selection. Regarding recruitment and selection, the informants noted that most of the interviews were done online using platforms like Zoom and Google Meet, among others. The participants from most of the sectors concurred with this assertion, as shown by the following response. Some were saying we conducted interviews online to minimize human being contact, as well as limiting movement and cost associated with gathering potential candidates at the premise. Some were saying we moved swiftly into online recruitment using social media and other possible platforms to reach out to the potential candidate. The respondents from the manufacturing sector noted that their recruitment was mainly done on site. This shows that most of the workers in the manufacturing sectors could not be recruited remotely, as there was a need to assess the hands-on capabilities of the potential workers. This was reported as follows: we could not rely solely on recruitment online since we wanted to assess hands-on ability on site. On training and development, the terms training and development can cover a multitude of activities that improves the workers' skills, which result in improved productivity. Some of the respondents were of the view that the hybrid model has greater prospects than challenges even in the post-COVID-19 pandemic era. So to show their support, some says it is faster to hold meetings, workshops, and conference over the internet. Reward management, considering the fact that technology is advancing at a faster rate, the management should cope up to save time and resources, which aids to improved productivity, effectiveness, profitability, and growth. I'll move on to my contribution. The contribution were on theoretical contribution, managerial contribution, and the research study has several theoretical contributions that broadens the literature, especially in the context of human resource perspective. And on managerial contribution, the advent of COVID-19 has disrupted the normal ways of personnel management. As the result, the hybrid model came into existence, which the remote work practices rampantly used were appropriate and compatible. In my conclusion, this research showcased the prospects and challenges in the human resource perspectives in the hybrid model for remote work practices in the COVID-19 pandemic era. The study was conceptualized around the labor administration system and narrowed down to 4 functional areas in the human resources management. These are the recruitment and selection, training and development, reward management, as well as performance management. Therefore, the researchers analyzed the prospects and challenges perceived in these 4 functional areas using the responses from 6 managers purposefully chosen from different sectors of the economy for diversity and reliability. Areas of future research. As a result of the findings the researchers are in the view that there is need for an in-depth analysis of cost effectiveness and the hybrid model in remote work practices in the post-pandemic era. In addition, future studies should incline to motivation and productivity of workers, which should be rather focusing on employees themselves than the management perspectives. Work from home model cannot be done for all work because of the inputs and processes required. It is important to note that while it is feasible for some employees to work from home, there are some specific professions that requires to work from the work premises, e.g., manufacturing, using of plant machinery, mining, medical, and other essential services. Therefore, there is a need to research on proper employee engagement in hybrid models for remote work practices in the post-pandemic era. For now, I thank you for the opportunity to present my topic. Thank you so much. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And despite of challenges in Zimbabwe with electricity not at all being there, so I congratulate you on taking the initiative and getting it done on your handphone. Okay, over to Ms. Anjali, our panelist, for your valuable input.
Yes, Prof. I would like to ask you regarding your data collection process, okay? Because you have mentioned that you have conducted a qualitative research, which means you have distributed questionnaire. Can you explain further who were your respondents? The respondents from specific company, or it includes few sectors? Because I heard you mention sectors. So if it is a sector, what are the sectors involved?
Thank you very much. Yes, I distributed a questionnaire which guided the interviews, and the sectors that we looked at the health sector, particularly the health sector, considering the challenges that were being imposed by COVID-19. We also then moved on to the manufacturing sector and the banking sector, because here in Zimbabwe, we have seen some banks closing some branches and usually doing the people doing the internet banking and everywhere. So we thought we have to also to focus on the banking sector. We also focused on the retail, considering the some of us are here in the third world countries. The retail was functional during the COVID era pandemic, with lead to the deliveries that we see happening in the first world countries. So we thought if we focus also on the retail, we might also need to get the hands-on experience that they are having. Particularly the level that we focused on the interviews were the managerial level, the management of those sectors. So that was our focus, Prof.
Okay, so you met face to face those people who have responded for the qualitative the interviews. Did you meet them face to face?
Yes, I met them face to face.
And one more thing, you mentioned that your interview was a semi-structured interview. The semi-structured interview means you already decided, excuse me, what question you're going to ask them. That means you have already decided prior to the interview session, right?
I have already decided, but during the interview, where there was the possibility of us to explore, I would explore on some issues depending with the interview.
Which means you give you followed a standard structured interview, but you at the same time you also probe more questions to the respondents based on the answer. Okay, I understood. Yeah. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Anjali, for the input. Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we move on today to our last presenter for the academic paper today. It is going to be from Bangladesh. So the topic is compliance of occupational safety and health laws in the ready-made garment factories of Chattogram, a critical study through work from home, by Nazneen Akhtar. Okay, over to you, Nazneen.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Asif, for giving me the opportunity to present my paper. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Nazneen Akhtar from Bangladesh. I hope you're listening to me well. There's no problem with the sound, sir?
That's absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you. The title of my paper is Compliance of Occupational Safety and health laws in the ready-made garment factories of Chattogram. I'm Nazneen Akhtar, working as Assistant Professor and Chairman of Department of Law, BGC Trust University, Bangladesh. So first of all, the background of the study. In recent years, globalization of world's economies and its repercussions has been perceived as the greatest force of change in the world of work. Safe and decent working environment has become the central issue in this globalized economy. The economy of Bangladesh is significantly dependent on agriculture, but the industry that has been making a vital contribution in rebuilding the country's economy is none other than the ready-made garment industry, which is now the single biggest export earner of foreign currency. This sector creates about 4.2 million employment opportunities in about 4,500 factories in Bangladesh and contributes about 83% of the total export earnings. But unfortunately, over the past decade, the RMG sector of Bangladesh has witnessed a number of industrial accidents that claimed the lives of thousands of workers. And in 2013, the industry, the country, and the world have been shocked by several major industrial accidents in Bangladesh that led to large-scale unrest among thousands of workers. Safety has become the burning issue, especially after the Rana Plaza catastrophe and fire accident in Tazreen Fashions, which has brought the perennial challenge of worker safety into the spotlight once again. The Rana Plaza catastrophe took place in 2013, which caused 1,132 deaths and more than 2,500 injuries as per ILO. And only 5 months earlier, at least 112 workers lost their lives in the fire accident in Tazreen Fashions. These disasters received global attention and brought forward diverse issues concerning millions of workers, employers, brands, and consumers of the entire supply chain in the RMG sector. Chattogram is the port city of Bangladesh, where more than 1,200 garment factories are located. RMG sector of Chattogram play a vital role in the sustainable economic development of the country. So this study aims to analyze the laws regarding safety and health applicable to the garment workers of Bangladesh. It attempts to identify the status of compliance of the laws in the RMG sector. And finally, it concludes with some policy options for effective implementation of the laws. It is hoped that this study will be highly beneficial to the workers if the recommendations are observed and materialized into due course. The objective of this study, according to the WTO, Bangladesh is the second largest apparel manufacturer and exporter after China, and it has very significant contribution to the country's development process. But despite of all this success and holistic development, there are gray areas that are seldom looked at by the owner, policymakers, and very often these act as hindrances in the economic development of the country. And occupational safety and health, that is OSH, issues are hardly given importance by the employers, policymakers, and other stakeholders associated to this industry. So the objective are twofold. Firstly, to analyze certain key features of labor laws regarding OSH and to investigate the status of compliance of existing laws in the ready-made garments factories of Chattogram and to suggest some way outs for effective implementation of the law. So we will move on now to the legal framework of OSH. Like in most developed and developing countries, Bangladesh has a range of instruments to promote and protect worker rights on OSH. Again, as a member of ILO, that is International Labour Organization, Bangladesh has an obligation to comply with the ILO conventions in its legal framework. First of all, the national legal settings. Firstly, the Constitution of Bangladesh, which is the highest law of the country, it has enunciated socialism, freedom for exploitation, emancipation of peasants and workers, work as a right and duty as fundamental principle of state policy. And the law, which is the key labor legislation that sets OSH standards and compensation for injuries, is the Bangladesh Labor Act 2006. In 2013, significant amendments were made to the BLA, primarily in response to the Rana Plaza collapse. Besides, there are several acts, such as Fire Prevention and Extinguishing Act, the Bangladesh National Building Code, which has several OSH-related provisions. There is some policy framework which include OSH policy, National Labor Policy, National Child Labor Elimination Policy, and Industrial Policy. Now, the international obligation, which include international labor standards. The international labor standards are legal instruments by ILO, which set out the basic principles and rights of work. Primarily, the ILO has 8 core conventions, but recently in 2022, at the 110th session of International Labor Conference, 2 more conventions has been adopted as core conventions, and these 2 related to occupational safety and health. Now, Bangladesh has been an important and active member of ILO since 1972. It has ratified 33 conventions so far. It has ratified 9 core conventions and has not ratified the 2 conventions regarding OSH. Combined motivation, effort, and of the policymakers, employers, workers is required for the ratification of these OSH conventions. Now I'll move on to the summary of OSH provisions. And these provisions is divided into 5 categories. The first category is workplace environment. The law states that the establishment must be kept clean and free from effluvia. There shall be adequate ventilation by the circulation of fresh air. The temperature shall be comfortable. There shall be taken effective measures to prevent accumulation of dust or fumes. The place should not be overcrowded. There shall be sufficient suitable lighting. There shall be sufficient supply of pure drinking water and cooling potable water during summer, sufficient number of separate toilets for male and female. The second category is safety. There shall be adequate firefighting apparatus and fire exit and fire alarms, fencing of machinery and electric supply, personal protective equipment, safety record and safety committee. There shall be a safety committee, and all the accidents happen shall be recorded in the safety record book. Third category is health services and medical care. First of all, there shall be adequate number of first aid box. There shall be a sick room and dispensary with adequate facilities. In an establishment where 5,000 workers are employed, there shall be a permanent health center. The employers shall provide compensation for injury to the workers as per the law, and the women workers shall get a maternity benefit when required. Third category is welfare measures. There shall be restroom separately for male and female. There shall be daycare room for the children and adequate canteen facilities. Welfare officers shall be appointed. There shall be provision of group insurance. And lastly, labor inspection and training. It is the duty of the Department of Inspection for Factories and Establishment to inspect the factories whether they are complying with the laws or not. And they should also provide training for the workers, trade union leaders, and also employers to make them aware of the rights and liabilities under the law. Now, I will move on to the literature review. In recent years, there has been a number of studies on various aspects of OSH issues, such as Ahmed studied on health hazard on RMG workers, OSH in perspective of disaster management approach. Akhtar has studied on system capacity to meet OSH needs. Health and safety situations of garment workers in development countries were done by Shakil, Barua, and Ansari on workplace safety in RMG sector after 3 years of Rana Plaza collapse. Talapatro and Rahman studied safety awareness and health hazard in the RMG sector. occupational safety and health practices after Rana Plaza incident, etc. So according to their study, working conditions in the RMG sector are below standard, and legal rights and labor standards are commonly ignored in the RMG factories. Several authors have analyzed various aspects, and they have received the greatest attention, but few has attempted to analyze the existing legal framework on OSH, and especially the current status of compliance of OSH in the Port City Chattogram. This study is an attempt to fulfill the gap. And thus, it will focus on the domestic laws on OSH and the present status of implementation of laws in Chattogram. It will then come up with some recommendations for effective implementation so as to ensure safe and healthy working environment. Now, I'll talk about research methodology. As a methodology, this study has employed qualitative approach because of the mixed nature of the problem with a view to achieving the best outcome. Data was collected from 14 factories located in different places of Chattogram. For this research, FGD and interview has been employed, and FGD was conducted on a group of 8 members. Semi-structured interview and FGD were conducted on workers, and semi-structured interview was conducted with employers, trade union leaders, government officials, and labor law experts. Primary data was collected from different factories of Chattogram, and secondary data was collected by consulting official documents, industrial manuals, books, journals, conference proceedings, etc. This is the conceptual framework and the summary of findings. In this study, the current status of Chattogram garment industry has been examined in terms of workers' health and safety rights. 85% of the respondents were female, while 15% were male. Yes, it is appreciable that the garment industry has done paramount ameliorations after the Rana Plaza incident in 2013. Combined efforts of government, employers, ILO, and buyers have been taken to improve worker safety and health issues at work. Nevertheless, many significant shortcomings still exist, which are addressed in this study and requires to be addressed felicitously. Now, in our finding, in our study, we find that 70% of the respondents were satisfied with the condition of the building and machinery, but 30% of the workers are not satisfied with the arrangement of the machineries and safety of buildings. They feel unsafe and risky. Regarding fire safety, all of the workers say that they have firefighting apparatus, but 50% of the workers cannot operate fire extinguishers. 30% of the workers say no fire drills took place in the last 1 year. And 20% of the workers considers that the fire safety arrangements are inadequate. The 30% of the workers thinks that the machines are not fenced properly, and 30% of the workers say that they don't get any training to operate the machinery. Regarding personal protective equipment, 40% say that they don't get any PPE, 50% say they get only apron and gloves. 60% of the workers say that they don't get cooling water during summer, and 10% say they don't even get pure drinking water. All of them said that they have separate toilets and washrooms, but 30% say that the number is not adequate, and 50% say that they are not satisfied with the cleanliness and hygiene of the toilets. 50% of the workers say that no doctor is appointed in their factory, and 40% say that the doctor comes only twice and in a week, and 10% say that they don't have any doctor, but they don't have any appointed nurse in their factory. Regarding first aid appliances, 60% say that the number of first aid boxes are inadequate, and 40% are satisfied. Interestingly, regarding maternity benefit, only 20% of the workers get the leave with pay for 16 weeks. And 30% said that there is a practice of leave without pay, and 50% say that they don't get any maternity leave. And the practice is that when necessary, they just resign from their job, but they have an option to appoint later. Regarding training on BLA, 70% of the trade union leaders say that they don't get any training from the DIFE, but they get training from the employer. And regarding the labor inspection, 90% of the workers say that they never see any DIFE officials, that is inspector, in their workplace. And interestingly, 60% of the employers said that no DIFE inspector visit their workplace. So it is observed also that the stages of compliance in export-oriented factories are a bit better than the subcontract factories, because the former is obliged to comply with the legal provisions. The compliance of legal provisions, including OSH, is relatively very poor in subcontract factories. It is also found that there are some causes of hazards in the garment industry, that is unsafe and risky building and machinery, lack of training, stairs and floors used as a storage, factory not designed as per building code, etc. Now I will move into the recommendation. Actually, in order to develop an OSH culture, the mindset of the employer need to be changed first, because they are the major violator. Factory owners who do not comply with the provisions must be punished severely, and the liability of the owner should be deduced after mishaps. And necessary amendments need to be made in labor law so that the criminal charges can be brought against the owners. Compulsory awareness building and training programs need to be introduced. The Department of Inspection need to be adequately funded, and the number of inspectors should be increased. The inspectors of factories should be more responsible and accountable. They should be trained properly. There may be a sufficient number of mobile team of inspectors. Efficiency, manpower, and financial strength of oversight agencies need to be increased. And the existing laws need to be amended, complying with the international labor standards. The core conventions should be ratified by Bangladesh. Now, concluding remarks. A safe and healthy workplace domain is a fundamental right of workers. Over the last century, the repercussions of safety and health hazard were subsequently worse in developing countries due to the insufficient efforts made to prevent, control, and reduce the hazards. And Bangladesh was no exception to this. In most factories of Chattogram, we found workers are not getting proper and safe working environment. But time has to come to consider the OSH in a holistic way. The monitoring of compliance to satisfy buyers cannot bring significant changes. Rather, employers' ethical compliance with the law can make a huge difference. Though Bangladesh has done a significant improvement after the Rana Plaza incident, but still there are many significant shortcomings that need to be addressed. All stakeholders involving employers, workers, government, national and international bodies should come forward with the sense of togetherness to bring meaningful changes in this promising sector, yielding name, fame, and glory of the nation. Now, that's all from me. We should think safe, work safe, and be safe. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you very much for the presentation on the compliance of occupational safety and health laws in the ready-made garments factories of Chattogram, a critical study through work from home. Okay, fine. Can I move on to my panelist, Ms. Anjali, for your input on this one?
Yes, Prof. Yes, Prof. Hi, Ms. Nazneen.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, your topic is very interesting for me. I have a few, not to say question, may I have a look at your research objective, please?
Yes.
The second one? Yep. The objective of the study are as follows: to analyze certain key features of labor laws of Bangladesh regarding the OSHA standards, and then to investigate the status of compliances of existing law. So the first one is to identify the key features, and the second one is to know how far the companies are complying with the standards. Am I right? Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's just my opinion. The first objective is to explore the labor laws only. Okay, so if exploring the labor, you are not analyzing it, right? Analyzing in sense of after looking into the laws, are you doing further analysis, or you are just capturing whatever laws in the place? What are you actually doing?
First, I explore the laws, and then I give some recommendations regarding the amendment of the law. That means some laws should be amended so as to comply with the international standards. So recommendations regarding amendment of law is also here.
So the recommendation come from your own viewpoint, or it based on any existing literature review?
No, it also studied existing literature review, but with the semi-structured interview with the labor law experts and the government officials and employers and trade union leaders, the recommendation has been made.
Okay, so see, this is just my opinion. Any research, at the end of the day, you're going to make recommendations based on your findings. Okay, so is this different from the recommendation you're going to make at the end of the day, or else you are taking this as a specific research objective? The reason I'm asking this is because any research, when you do, at the end of the research, you're going to make some recommendations to improving, or make for a betterment, you're going to make a recommendation. If if it is the same recommendations, then you don't have to mention it in your objective, because technically whether you are mentioning or not, end of the day you're going to make some suggestions and recommendations for the based on your research findings. And I have this clash of understanding, maybe you can clarify me now. I saw that you have conducted a focus group research, right?
Yes.
Okay, the focus group research involves almost about 8 people, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but then I saw you presented the statistical analysis, like how many of them are complying, how many of them are not following. These findings comes from focus group, or how?
Two methods were employed. First of all, FGD, and the second one is semi-structured interview.
Okay, so you have conducted 2 methods, right?
Yes,
the first one is you go for a focus group. What was the findings of focus group?
The findings, the summary of findings as has been shown in my PPT, it was the findings from the focus group of workers, and the last 3 or 4 slides is about the employers and the labor law experts and the trade union leaders and government officials.
I understand.
Both the findings are there.
Both the findings, were you seeing any comparisons of both findings, or how? Are you trying to look into the findings of focus group and then the findings from the questionnaire? Are you trying to match or find the differences, variances, or how? Is these 2 research methods have different separate findings?
No, the findings has been shown in total.
Okay, that means can I understand this way? By conducting a focus group, you are focusing more on the expert's opinion, and you take the
by FGD. By FGD, I tried to find out the actual condition in the factory because it was the data collected from the workers, and the semi-structured interview actually was done with the employers, trade union leaders, and the government officials. So the real data, that means how far these are compliances in the factories, are getting from the FGD.
Okay, so that means you involve everybody necessary to speak about the OSHA standard.
Yes.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that valuable input, essentially. And I hope it is going to assist the presenter.
Thank
And
you.
also, I think you can also look into the framework of your study, where you have 1 IV and 4 DV. Okay, so just relook into this. Perhaps it's going to be 4 IVs and 1 DV. So just look into that part. So to make the paper look more nice. Thank you very much for that presentation. So,
thank you, sir.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, our paper presenters and all of us who are here today. So, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for having here the presentation done from all the researchers that we saw. And indeed, it was over 190 minutes of presentation. So, and indeed, great researcher carnivals. We saw over here today 5 academic papers were presented together with 1 keynote and 2 special address. So, in all together, we saw the papers coming up on the hybrid model of working from home, the challenges, the issues, the prospects, and different types of ideas were given to us from the researchers. How could they actually work on this hybrid model? Different types of data, statistics, findings were given to us from different sectors, from banking sector to the ready-made garment sector. We had in the education sector, we had in the tourism sector, we had in the social media, the sector. So it was indeed a great presentation all around, I would say. And it has really been contributing a lot to our title of the conference. As we say, it's a work from home, and it is the hybrid model of remote work practice. And the remote work practice can basically come from any sector, as long as all the researchers have aligned their topic with either finance or legal side, or the HR side, or the social aspect. So it was indeed a great day of day 1 of the session. And of course, tomorrow, please do log in with the same Zoom link that we have shared for the final day of this conference. And whereby tomorrow we are going to have, 1 special address, of course. And together with that, we'll have 8 paper presentations, academic research paper presentations. We'll be having on event management, the pandemic effect of the event management. We're going to talk about the workplace model in the organizations, how they are going to be working like. We are going to have a presentation on accessible reality, elastic and kinetic agile Eureka model. Then we'll be definitely having another presentation on hybrid working in oil and gas sector. We are going to have on the hybrid model of conceptual frame working for the SMEs in Zimbabwe. We are going to have another governance and corporate paper coming up on the finance sector from Zambia. And then we'll have an emotional intelligence and academic performance during the pandemic on the Malaysian perspective. And we're going to have one final paper on the quinary hospitals and super specialist medical treatment during the pandemic era. So that's going to be a very interesting session tomorrow. And since the 2 days conference, I do look forward for all of you joining tomorrow. You may share the Zoom link with your friends, with your peer groups, with your students as well, to come and join with us in this international e-platform of the Researchers Carnivals that we are having for 2 days. So thank you very much, all of you, for your time, for your presentations, for your research work. And we do look forward for you tomorrow, and have a blessed evening, and stay safe and be tuned. Keep on researching, keep on presenting, and keep on doing the great work that all of you are doing. Take care, all of you. Bye-bye, and a great good evening from Malaysia.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Prof. Karim. Thank you. Take care. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Bye
Yes, see
bye.
you tomorrow. Willa, bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Jama. See you tomorrow. Bye. Thank you, Dr. Femin.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye. See you
Yes,
tomorrow.
goodbye. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gerald. Despite of your connectivity, you are here with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Yes, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Prof.
Thank you. Take care, all of you.
All the best.
Wonderful presentation by you all.
Thank you very much, Professor. It was really pleasure that meeting you and presenting our presentation with you. Thank you very much, Professor, for
It's
the
a pleasure. We look
usual
forward.
support.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
the best.
Okay. Take care, all of you.